How mitakupi, Shugamani tutaka stalanashi melo, na Charlie Smoke macha. Those of you who are at Yellow Thunder, you may not recognize all that. Most people just knew me as Wolf. After doing all these videos, then I figured I should introduce myself, or at least put my face on here so I could take responsibility for some of the things that I said. This is where one of my teepees was when I lived here. I lived in a couple of different places here at the camp, but this is a spot up here on Knob Hill that I liked the most, and it felt like home. And then just down this way, there was a second security shack that we called Drum. That one burnt down in the early 80s, and we used to hear gunshots up here all the time back then too. And then coming up from below, this is the first teepee. The next one was Russ's. There's hardly ever anybody in there. Further down, there was another teepee that was given to the Black Hills Alliance. There's almost never anyone in there. And then if you go a little bit further, not really on this hill, but keep going that direction, that was Alberta Black Bear's teepee. Alberta died a few years ago, but she was one of the important women in this camp. She was our main school teacher when we had school for kids down here. And I mentioned George and Smokey and some of the others a lot. I should probably mention that the main women at the camp was Alberta and Sherry Means and Beth, who I just talked to a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think I ever did know her last name, but Beth would be remembered as George's wife and as the woman who makes the best gabubu bread in the world. But those three women anyways were the main female leaders of the camp. And just to say a little bit more about myself, I was young when I came here, and before I came here, about the only thing I ever did along this line was helping out with some rallies, mostly trying to get information out about the truth concerning Leonard Peltier. Years later, I found out that in this society, the truth isn't what matters. It's more the perception of truth that the American government and their media throws up on people. That's the only thing that counts anymore. After I left Yellow Thunder Camp, when I was here, I came here right after Clarence Tollefson died, and I stayed here for a little more than a year and a half. The first time I left for a short while, and the first time that was kind of during the high point in the camp, and I came back as the camp was declining, and I stayed here for a year. 2 months of that time in the winter I was here by myself, and then about 3 months with my buddy Elvis until the weather warmed up and a few people started coming back around. A few years after I left Yellow Thunder Camp, then I went back east and I organized and ran the Mohawk Nation Warrior Society patrols at Akwesasne to keep peace on the reservation and to keep non-Indian law enforcement and armies off Mohawk land. And several years after that, the biggest thing I did was I took on the Canadian government and their attempts to impose citizenship on Indigenous people, and also fighting against the border that they put up and other borders throughout the Western Hemisphere that people have illegally drawn through Indigenous land. And that one I did totally on my own. Mishnala Ziai. I took on an entire country, entire government on my own, staked myself out and fought them for some time. And after that, the only thing I did was staying at Stronghold Table. When the occupation at Stronghold Table here in South Dakota in the Badlands began, I wasn't down here, I was up north. George called me and I set up the Tokala Ta Onakijin website on tripod.com. That was the only free web server that I could figure out how to work. Whenever they wanted information out in the beginning, George called or emailed me. I put stuff on that website, and then early in 2003 I came back down here with one of my daughters, who was 7 at the time, and that spring and summer we were the only ones holding stronghold table and protecting the remains of the ghost dancers who were slaughtered there. Then by that time I had become discouraged with the way things went up here. I had come to know a lot of people from across the world. I was really impressed with the native peoples from southern Colombia, especially the NASA people, and then also the EZLN, the Zapatistas from Mexico. And at this point now, the only thing I really care about fighting for is my kids. And we've been here now, we're leaving in a few days, moving on to a ranch. And but we've been here for 3.5 months, just myself and my 5 kids. And I guess that's a good enough introduction about me, and I appreciate anybody who's taken the time to look at these Yellow Thunder Camp videos on YouTube.